June was such a valuable month for reading for me. I laughed. I don't think that I cried, but I did learn a lot. I attempted 5 different books. I only finished 4 of them, but the 4 that I did read are incredibly impactful and just made a great reading month. The 5 books that I attempted in June were Everyone is Lying by Shari Lapena, None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, of which I have a video out on my channel. Please check it out if you're interested. The Stonewall Reader, which is published by the New York Public Library, an anthology of different collections and stories of before, during, and after Stonewall. Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Lindsay Gibson. Yes, that's her name. But I did not finish was The Museum of Failures by 30 Umar. The DNF is a temporary DNF. It's not going to be a permanent DNF because I just wasn't in the mood for it. But when I do get back in the mood for it, I will be devouring it, I think. It was a little too heavy for me at the time. Oh, wait, hold on. If you could please like this video, comment a recent 5-star, tell me a TBR, anything about what your reading journey looks like. I would so appreciate it. It seriously, genuinely helps out my channel. Oh my god, I'm gonna attempt to not feel like I'm manipulating you to do things that I would like you to do, but oh my god, please help me out because YouTube gives me rewards. Anyway, before we go into me talking about all the books that I read, I want to give kind of an explanation as to how I rank things. My ratings correlate to how I think about food in a way. If I give a book a 1-star, that's a regrettable experience. I wish I hadn't entertained it at all. I'm ill. 2 is going to be like bland, like nothing is exciting about this. I just digested it, but at least I, like had a story. But that was like, I'm not doing that again. A 3 is going to be like your typical baseline fast food, your McDonald's, Taco Bell, Burger King, wherever the heck you go to get a good meal, but there's not a lot of substance within it. Whereas with a 4-star, that would be like fine dining. I feel like the regularity of which I give out a 4-star is also the honestly, I find dine a lot less than I have like a 4-star. And then a 5-star would be if I had a personal chef and they were able to cater their skills directly to my taste. That's exactly what a 5-star feels like. Like I'm having a delicious meal with my husband or like my best friends or something. Like it's perfectly catered to me. I'm going to be rating the fictions. I'm not going to be rating the nonfictions because I heard somebody say that they don't rate nonfiction. And I was like, oh, that would be so cool if I could do that. You can do that. You don't have, like, the rules are your own. Steal from other people if you want. They're not going to sue you. Or are they? Right? The first book that we have is Everyone Here is Lying by Shari Lapena. This book was, I knew I was going to like it because I had seen the description be domestic thriller. I've said this like a million times, but I used to think that I only liked thrillers when it came to books because it's hard for me to be like engaged if I'm not like looking forward to the end. So I knew this was going to hit for me because I have such a soft spot for thrillers. So this being a domestic thriller, I find is like very interesting as it relates to like the family, because when it gets to like the sheriff, the detective, the police department, plus the family, plus the town, plus the country, it just gets to be like so conflated and so much. Not to say that there weren't like detectives and things inside the story, but when it starts at like home base, it's like that fully hits for me because it's introspective enough, it's intimate enough for me to like connect with it. So this is about a family where a daughter goes missing and nobody knows the details of it because people are lying about their whereabouts as it related to her leaving. The father of the house, his name is William. I completely forget what the family name is, but the dad's name is William. William is not a great guy. I'm still trying to decide, like, is he a bad guy? William was having an affair with a family friend. The woman he was having an affair with broke it off with him, and he, in an angry rage, came home early to find his daughter there, who also came home early and was not supposed to be home. He took his anger out on his daughter and hit her. Ooh. His daughter, we don't know exactly what happened directly after, but a couple hours later, his daughter disappears. The police show up and he has to lie. He decides to lie to them. about the fact that he saw her because they both were not supposed to be home and he hit her. So, the story unfolds and you kind of figure out, God, okay. Sorry in advance if you can hear my neighbors. Oh my God, like what the hell was that? Anyway, the story unfolds to where you're trying to figure out, like, okay, everyone here is lying. Who's telling the truth? What the heck is the truth? And that's what I really like about thrillers, is just they're typically like easy, fast reads. So, easy, fast read, I give it a 3.75. I'd recommend to anybody who's into the Riley Sagers, the popular thriller authors who have like fast, easy books. Next, we have the Stonewall Reader, which is an anthology of stories from queer people's account of before, during, and after Stonewall. This was a necessary read for me because I do not know a lot about LGBTQIA history, which is such a shame. Such a shame. And it's kind of disgraceful how little we know about LGBTQIA history, like in the United States. Yet every time Pride rolls around, there's so many of these historical events that are, like talked about openly, but they're not taught at institutions, like on a collegiate level or a high school level, middle school. It just feels like, at least from where I grew up in like more conservative spaces in the Midwest, there was gonna be like no chance that I was gonna have that education. We owe that to be in history, to be told. In finding out what the Stonewall riots did to culture, to people, I feel like we need to put that in schools. What the hell? I have a little bit of a hard time with history, American history specifically, because it's just not within my interests. I think also related to my identity as a Black woman. Oh my God. Just like, especially like as an immigrant coming from overseas to being here, sitting in classes, listening to stories of people whose identities are like similar to mine, Black people, women. It's like it's not in my interests to read stories of oppression. I just feel like I could never be a history buff because I'm too sensitive and emotional. But this book was very enlightening and an easy read coming from somebody who's like not interested in history at all. I found this to be incredibly insightful. I found, because I read this through audio on Spotify, this was incredibly interesting the way that it was put together. That's also another tip. If you don't like history, listen to or history or nonfiction where you're like learning. I used to try to read physically, and my brother told me, he was like, you should just listen to them on audio. They're so much easier to digest. And then I have only been doing that ever since. It just saved my ability to have retention on a book. The way that the stories are told are really devastating and really, it's also incredibly devastating because you can see themes of the book, before, during, and after. Themes of that happening in today's climate. The way that the book starts off with saying that queer people have been demonized, ostracized, illegally penalized just for their identities. Stonewall essentially was like the representation of outrage against LGBTQ plus people, against the police, because it essentially started at Stonewall, where a policeman was coming to antagonize the queer people around. Queer people just were like, we have had enough. This is enough. And then the riots went on for 3 days. Like the legislation that we're looking at now, demonizing trans people, is exactly what people were fighting against and why Stonewall happened. The like demonization of the identity is prevalent now and like an incredibly controversial hot button issue that should have been dealt with decades ago, and we should not be demonizing people just based off their identity of things that they do not understand. Oh my God, read a book, read this book if you don't understand, please. Anyway, highly, highly, highly recommend if you are interested. Next, we have None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. Essentially, this is about two people with the same birthday running into each other on one night. Their lives are affected for the rest of their life because of this one encounter. These two people, one is a podcaster named Alex, successful, a little bit more wealthy. One of them, what the heck is her name? Is it Josie? Josie's kind of your regular everyday person, except we find out a lot of disgusting, disturbing details about Josie. And she essentially wants Alex to cover it. And there are so many things that are uncovered through her telling her story to Josie through this podcast. Wow. If you haven't watched my video on me deciding if it is overhyped or appropriately hyped, please check that out for more details. I gave it a 3.75, and I did like it. I found it to be very fast-paced, easily digestible. But if you want to see my final decision on overhyped or appropriately hyped, go to that video, please. Next, we have Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Lindsay Gibson. I can't rate this, but it was so incredibly valuable. Oh my word. Emotional maturity is something that I feel like I have recently kind of woke up to this idea of people who are emotionally immature. So I'm trying to figure out like as much as I can about emotional immaturity, because it's incredibly interesting to focus on. The identifiers of people that are emotionally immature versus mostly mature, I'll give you kind of this like basic rundown because I found it to be very fascinating. Emotional immaturity is low empathy and emotional insensitivity, preoccupation with one's own emotional needs that they are blinded to yours, having little to no idea how to provide emotional support, and dysregulation and regulating yourself through somebody who is more emotionally regulated. Emotional maturity is essentially just kind of the opposite of that. If you just flip it and reverse it, that's what emotional maturity is. Being dependable, being sensitive, having a lively and balanced emotional life. That'd be emotional maturity. I really enjoyed this book. Oh my god, gobbled it up. If you were interested in looking at themes of emotional maturity and immaturity, highly recommend. Highly recommend. Just phenomenal book. I can't rate this, but I highly, highly enjoyed it and highly, highly recommend. Okay, so then we have The Museum of Failures by 30 Umagar. Essentially, this man, originally born in India, goes from India to the United States, kind of is assimilated, I guess kind of similar to myself, like an assimilated immigrant who's like, I guess, Americanized. Him and his wife are looking at adopting back in Bombay. Something happens with the adoption. Things are being really like brought up for him, feelings of like resentment, feelings of discomfort that lead onto this journey that I was not ready to kind of dive into. So I DNF'd the book. I will return to that book, especially because I feel like it's written so well and has a very poignant point of view. It was not the time for me to read this. Oh, it was not the time for me to read this. I feel like I still am wanting to seek things that are more adventure based, but at the same time challenging myself to read things that are based in reality, you know? So just trying to figure out that balance for July. We'll see where July takes me. I'm gonna attempt to read a little bit more than I have been. I think I average like maybe like 5 books a month, maybe 4 to 6. I'm gonna aim to do like 7. We'll see if I can do it. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you have a recent 5-star that you have read. Let me know if there's anything LGBTQIA that you would recommend, because I am searching wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever time of day it is. I hope you have an amazing, valuable morning, afternoon, or night.